you just arrived at the con?
Yeah, we arrived about 10:30 last night. It's always like that because we film right through this, so it's very tough for us. So we film Friday, we film Monday.
Wow.
Keep going. Last year we were lucky because it just happened to fall on our production break, which was pure luck, and it hasn't this time. So everybody's on horrendous schedules.
All the scenes after Monday want to be a little bit more tan.
They could be a bit strange.
But we certainly appreciate it, though.
No. We love doing Comic-Con, and it's worth getting everyone. This year I couldn't get everyone over because we were literally about to shut down. And I couldn't do that.
No. But just even the room is a lot busier. It's getting there.
Yeah,
you're gonna outsell this thing soon.
Yeah.
Oh, are we starting? A little bit about what we'll see this season?
Yeah, I think this season's probably the biggest sort of change we've ever made to me. We've jumped 3 years in time, so we've gone to a world where there is a round table and knights and an established king and queen and Camelot in its golden age. And then we start to feed in the dark seeds of destruction that are part of that very classic story. So it's a bit more adult, it's a bit darker in tone, and it really takes the characters. I think the key change is we've taken the characters to very new places. They're older, you know. So you take Gwen is a mature queen of Camelot, and is it all of that? And you see stories where she plays the politics of that role, you know, in a very sophisticated way. Arthur is the king he always dreamt of being. Merlin is a much stronger character. That naivety's gone. He's out there to protect what they've built, and he'll do what it takes to do that. The knights are bigger parts now. They're there much more. Obviously, they're knights on the round table, so that gives a whole raft of stories that we have to talk about.
Are there any characters that may have disappeared in that 3-year period?
Nobody has disappeared. I'm just checking in my mind, and I believe that's true. Nobody has disappeared. Obviously, Lancelot died in the last series twice. Tony Head died in the last series. But no, everybody's back. And some other people are back. So we return. Queen Alice comes back, who's Lindsay Duncan, who gives us a lot of gravitas and is an ally of Camelot's. Janet Montgomery comes back, who was Princess Mithrian, because she was such a great character. Tony Head comes back. Funnily enough. And that's probably all I can say. There's a couple of others, but I'd start giving things away.
How was it casting a new Mordred?
Good, in a sense. Part of the reason for the jump was, you know, Asa's 13 now. We just can't tell the stories we need to tell with a 13-year-old. There's simply no way that rich part of Arthurian legend that involves Mordred as an adult character. Obviously he's not Arthur's son, but all of the rest of it is really valuable stuff for us, and we desperately wanted to do it. So we felt if we jumped, we could cast. I mean, Mordred's still a very young man, but he's a man, and he can play the stuff we need. Otherwise, I think there was nowhere to go with that story. It's too big a part of the legend to do it.
How would you? How much longer would you like to continue the series?
It's in the end, it's not my decision. We are in discussions about a series. Whether that happens, you'll have to watch this space. I don't think it'll be resolved for a month or two.
Would you say, as far as the budget goes, obviously the more popular the show gets, the bigger the budget usually.
That's totally untrue in the UK.
Oh, that's true. You know what? You're right. I'm used to it here. You're right. But if you,
it's very interesting that
you need to come here and film somebody.
Yeah, no, I agree. But no, our budgets just simply don't.
It's just
we just stay
the set. Because if you had a bigger budget, would you tell different stories, or any of the stories that you have in mind to tell? Would that change?
I mean, if you look at Game of Thrones is nearly 4 times our budget. And, you know, does it make a difference? Yes, a bit. I think we probably reject 3 or 4 stories a season on grounds that we simply couldn't do it. We've even got one script we wrote that we've never filmed. Not because we don't like it, it's actually an incredibly good script, but we just can't afford to do it. So it has remained on the shelf for 3 years now. So that is a factor. But we have to work within the world we do. I mean, we have a budget, it doesn't go up. Our costs probably marginally go down because we have a huge stock of sets now, a huge stock of costumes, a huge stock of weapons, props. All of that helps. Our CGI capacity gets quicker and bigger, which also helps. So I think we still, every year, will put more on the screen. Yeah, there's a line in the sand that we can't go to.
Now salaries go up, so does that take away from your budget?
It probably balances out in reality. I think the fact that, we construct less and less each year because we have so many sets now. We make less and less costumes because we have so many costumes. I'd say our CGI costs shrink probably each year. So in real terms it balances out, but it doesn't get bigger in the way that the US show that was this successful in season 5 would be through the roof.
I know a lot of fans were actually looking forward to seeing after the wedding, after Gwen became queen, her taking on that role. So since you're doing the jump, might there be flashbacks that show any of that kind of growth?
No, but I think you do see her as the queen in a very different and interesting way. I think Gwen has one of the most interesting journeys of this series, and I think for the first time we've given her a very big role within it. And we've moved on her story with Morgana as well, actually, by a certain device that we've managed to do. So I don't think fans will be disappointed by this event. I mean, there's always that question that if you make that jump, they miss that process. On the other hand, it opens up a whole, raft of stories that we simply can't tell without round tables and nights at it and Mordreds who are adults. But I think it's a balance. It's the right decision.
Any aspects of the Arthurian lore that you haven't explored yet that you would like to?
There's a few we do in this series that we haven't. The Mordred stuff is very valuable and very interesting. That's a very old part of Arthurian legend. It goes back as far as there's old Welsh stuff from the 9th century, I think, about that. So I think that's the big area that we've opened up this series. There's a few other things. The darker side of it is brilliant. We can never really touch that. So if I have a regret, you read that stuff and you go, yeah, I'd love to do that.
So even though the characters have grown up a little bit and you're saying it's a little bit darker, you're still very conscious of the fact that you're aiming for a certain kind of audience?
Yes, although it's a different audience. We transmit in the UK now 18-15. A vast proportion of our adult audience is adult. Far more interestingly, a huge percentage is now. So we have to cater for that. But yeah, we can't do stories of rape and incest. And there are lots of those in Arthurian legend.
How's the fan interaction that you get, the feedback? Is it a boon or a burden most of the time?
If I'm dead honest, I simply don't look at it. I can't write the stories if I do. Because you hear these voices in your head suggest, and often they're very clever things, or very interesting things, and I think you go mad. I have to shut it out, which sounds terrible, but it isn't meant in that way. It's just when you're thinking of ideas, and there's this whole swathe of them out there, and often very good ones. I can't do it. I can't read that and do it. Once we've finished, I do. I have a look. And we nearly have finished it.
How many episodes do you have to film still?
Oh, we're filming 7, 8, 9 now, so we've got another, I'd say 5.
Now you've got this Merlin game coming out.
Yes.
Where are you excited about that?
Yes, very actually. I mean, it's been very interesting educational process. But I am, because I think we haven't really, exploited what this franchise can be in that sense. I don't think we've done it in games, I don't think we've done it in books. We've got 3 very good proper heavyweight fantasy novels coming out related to it, so there's lots going on. And I think for the first time, myself and Johnny have had time to devote to this side, which we haven't before. And that's what it takes, really. It takes us downloading what we see in our vision to very talented guys who can then translate it into, say, that social media game or into a trilogy of novels. And I think if you spend that time, then you can do that. But I don't think we have the time or means to devote to it before now.
This new actor that's playing Mordred, what were the characteristics that made you go for this actor?
He's a very interesting actor, Alex, because he's a young Welsh actor, actually, interestingly. And we film in Wales, so that wasn't a factor. But he's got a certain look that ties him into Asa. That's important. There's a youth and innocence about him, but there's something slightly mysterious that you can't quite put your finger on, and that quality is quite valuable.